hard vaxxed and shit. Yeah, so.
I just realized, you know who's at fault for this anti-mask stuff? You know, you remember those like altitude training masks that everyone had, and it turned out that they were actually really bad for your respiratory system. So that planted the seed of doubt, I think, for all the anti-maskers.
I won't go into too much lore because it's mainly just registers with me and Pat Haddad apparently. But we were just doing Tony Siragusa research the other day, and one of his old posts from like 10 years ago was like, whoa, Marshawn Lynch is wearing like one of those medical masks on the field. Pretty badass looking. now he's like an anti-mask, like let's go Brandon guy 10 years later. But
yeah, I want to get that, but I don't have any sense of who Tony Siragusa is. So
man, is he really before your time? Damn, that's
I don't think so. I was never like a football first guy. I don't know. Like, and also like, definitely not did he play for the Giants or Jets or like?
He played for the Ravens. He was on the Ravens Super Bowl team, and then he was on like a couple other teams after that when he was winding down. But
the oxygen mask, I forgot about that. That's fitting because they're going back to Azteca this week.
Mm. Oh yeah, exactly.
That
was part of like a regimen at some point.
No. Was it a CCL team? Okay, there were a couple CCL
that like slept in the tents.
Maybe. Did they train in Colorado or something?
There was one year where like Seattle and one other MLS team in CCL like went to the mountains in Mexico for a week before they had a game in Mexico City. And I can't remember if it worked at all, but I feel like it was. And then I think maybe it might have been like Omar Gonzalez or somebody who like was training with one of those masks. Did it just deprive you of oxygen?
Yeah, it's like ankle weights for oxygen.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what the people are saying about people who smoke a lot of weed, right? That they breathe like deeper or something, but that's also because they take in less oxygen in general when they're breathing because it's smoke and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
so you're actually like straining your lungs when you do the altitude training masks instead of like working them out. So you're actually just making them tired and they're not recovering ever.
Right. Just thinking about it with the little I know about the lungs and blood, it doesn't make sense. They should just do drugs the honest way, like Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, the lungs are one area where Trump is right. You can't expend you can't expend your finite energy.
Everything gets smaller a little bit.
Yeah. If there was doping in soccer, it would probably be the same kind of drugs that they do in cycling, right? Like the kinds that like
stamina.
Yeah, that like increase the amount of blood that you can carry or oxygen that you can carry in your blood. But I don't even know if they test for that. It's Alex! Episode 204 of You From 202. The week after an ugly match against Columbus Crew SC, the Red Bulls are 2-1-1 on the season, 7 points of 12 so far, and now we're in the international break. We got a week or two to sit and think about it.
I was willing to call them Columbus Crew SC until Nagby did that heel click, and now I'm just going to call them Columbus SC again. I'm going to keep it.
Was that
April 2021
brief
style?
Name? Was it just Columbus SC?
Oh yeah, that's
they still have that. They still have that shitty badge.
The crest, yeah.
But
they added the 96 in like the little bottom.
I feel like updated it.
The Columbus one is the one that I've kept track of the least, because didn't they make some sort of compromise crest?
Right, that's what they were just saying.
Yeah, they added
is
a 96.
That active yet, or is that going to be like next year?
I think you're thinking of Chicago, where they now have a new crest and it looks good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's still.
But teams have gotten weird about like announcing crests and rebrands like in the middle of a season and then still wearing the old shit for like another 6 months or whatever, which is weird because like remember like when Galaxy signed Beckham and they changed all their logos and shit like in the middle of a season. Like maybe that was old time.
Well, the supply chains,
Back in my day, you'd buy a team in like February, and then just like make a bunch of white blank t-shirts that say Red Bulls on it and give it to them. Like,
right.
you know, just like get it done with.
Fucking
like,
business 101.
Right before the season starts. Also, remember, like back in my day, the Portland Timbers would start their MLS team, come out with a crest that everyone hated and booed at the Timbers Army watch party or announcement party or whatever in 2012. And then they're stuck with it for a whole season until they could change it.
Yeah.
They had some weird cartoony like chevron or something on it. Yeah. Luna hates it. This is like giving her
flashbacks of branding exercises
in a previous life. Yeah, sorry. But I will say I didn't even notice that Nagby did that. I was on the opposite side of the pitch from 202, and this is after the goal.
Yeah,
you did a heel click thing?
The equalizer / winner. Yeah.
My head was hung so low that I did not know that there was a goal celebration.
Yeah, it was one of those kind of moments. Not to hand it to him too much, but
that's a weird move.
Yeah, well, I mean,
well, it's because he played there, right?
Well, yeah, but what's the angle?
Right. I mean, because he didn't want to tackle it too hard, which, you know, I understand. But I tried to ask Sean Nealis about it after the game. And he said kind of what I was teeing him up for, where he was just like, yeah, I mean, it's a nice tribute to the club and shit like that. Where it's just like, you know, well, yeah, like you're saying, Brett, like what even like is the angles of that? Because like if you wanted to own Columbus, what do you even think of? Like, you know, oh, nice. Thanks for letting us know that we have like, you know,
a legend.
Well, like a legend and just like, you know, just like a culture and just like weird little trademark thing that, you know, we wouldn't even know where to start to think of for your club.
Like if right, it's like the Iranian media said, like, what are we supposed to do? Kill SpongeBob? What are we supposed to do?
That's exactly what it is.
Kill the Buckeye guy or whatever. Fuck off, whatever. If it were like a city guy who did that, I'd be like, okay, there's not really much to it, but I understand that you're taunting us.
Yeah.
But if it's like, oh, but you know him, you played with him last year, you probably were friendly.
Fuck you, dude.
I didn't even know that. That's such a weird move.
I like to think he just saw like Etienne do it last week. I was like, oh, that's a cool celebration. I'll give it a try.
Did Etienne do that last year?
Yeah. But like that makes sense as like a tribute to Brad retiring, because it was like when he retired and like they played together like more often.
And now that it's been 2 weeks and there's going to be an international break, if somebody does it the next game, we're like, hey, what are you doing? This is stretching out.
Yeah, exactly.
What if everyone who scores at RBA just does it now? And it's,
I was going to say a better own would be maybe to do like bull horns or something.
Right.
Like, you know, but
it's like, I feel like heart hands, like Gareth Bale started doing it, which I still feel like he just kind of like, I don't know, was riffing when he like scored a goal against, you know, against Inter, and then did the heart hands thing, and then all of a sudden it was the Gareth Bale thing, and somebody else was doing it, and then everyone started referring to it as like the Gareth Bale signature thing, and I was like, that was a thing before, like that was just a random thing.
Oh yeah, it's like I become a star soccer player. And it's like, oh yeah, you know, Peaches does the kissing the wrist thing. That's his thing, you know.
Classic.
Like, only he does that.
Yeah.
Do you actually do that?
No, I don't have a tattoo on my wrist.
Oh.
You know, until I get one of Luna, then I'm gonna do it.
Okay. But well, all right. The game was a 1-1 draw with a last minute equalizer. You know, I'm gonna resist. I had the thought to say heartbreaking, but I don't know.
Deflating.
Yeah, but you know, it was a sort of tough, grimy game in a way where I feel like, especially 48 hours later, it's 1-1 kind of feels right on balance. That I don't want to overdo the heartbreak factor. Because 1-1 draw, that's a pretty representative snapshot of the game, even if it was a weird way that it happened.
Yes, I agree with you. Like at a holistic view, like it makes sense that we came out with a 1-1 draw, but also like Shield teams don't win that game.
That's true. That's true.
Although I mean, Columbus is a good team. Although it was kind of my mantra before the game. It was just that like they always feel like good and bad at the same time, always. But, they're always like on the verge of either. But I don't know. I was just looking at the stats actually, and just how, you know, Columbus had better XG now that that's just an institution. But I think a lot of that, obviously they had a lot of those counterattack chances at the end of the game, but I think a lot of that are chances that are like game state things that don't necessarily happen. If we don't, go for it in the last like 20, 30 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And, with that in mind, if you just kind of, not that you just get to pretend like that didn't happen, because they did. And Columbus honestly should have scored like 2, maybe 3 times on some of those.
Right.
But, kind of looking at the game holistically, until those break out, just when the game state broke out like it did, was just kind of like an ugly, choppy game that neither team really got a foothold in. At any point. And, that a 1-1 draw kind of matches how each team sort of, brought it to the game.
Yeah. And it was only when I was leaving the stadium and I saw on some of the screens in the concourse, some of the replays where I was like, oh yeah, between that Zardes chance and that Etienne breakaway, I imagine that was a huge chunk of that XG.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, they really, they had one there. Between those 2 chances, they should have. And I style myself a bit as a soft Zardes defender and like the Emil Heskey type kind of thing. But when that happened, I was like, "Ooh boy,
that's not great."
Ooh boy, that's a tough one. You're making it hard for me, Joss. I mean, thank you first and foremost. Very cool, but
very chill.
Making it difficult. If you do that for the national team later, I'm not going to be able to yell at people or tell them they're dumb, which is
the Nagby goal was like the shittiest of those counters that they had.
That's true, yeah.
Like which adds not to harp on the heartbreak, but like does kind of add to God damn it.
Oh, it's not heartbreak if it's like
it's
deserved.
It's more God damn it.
Yeah. But then that's the thing about the game is like I think the 1-1 result is deserved, but that also means that we played in a way where we deserve to concede.
It's also so annoying that Zellerand come off because he was actually hurt, so they're down to 10.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, that's their best player on the pitch. He's gone. Like, come on, like, let's walk it home. And I mean, hell, I guess we're just talking about this goal first and foremost, rather than any sort of chronological order. So, for what it's worth, on that final play of the whole match, basically, I think really the key point of failure there is CCJ playing that advanced role that he was doing. Takes a just weird gamble and weird angle. I mean, he even adjusts halfway through when he realizes that he took way too aggressive and just like a total bad angle trying to close down Columbus, which lets them sneak on out and make the break. And then when they finally get to our box, Tolkien has to play it sort of conservatively, which allows him just to slide it down to the end line. But I saw some people touching on Fletcher's involvement at the beginning of the play because there was sort of, he got down to the end line and Columbus fluffed the pass, and there was that situation where their keeper had come out and Fletcher was able to get onto the ball. And I think some people watched the replay from the broadcast and were getting on him for not taking into the corner. And I have to say, having that happen right in front of us, I think it was very apparent in the moment that it was totally appropriate for him to look to find a pass there because the keeper was out. He had 2 guys in the box. They kind of were marked. There wasn't a lot of free space. And if he could just have found just a tiny little pass, it was an open goal. And I think it was totally appropriate. Like it would have been, we would have been mad if he had run away. I mean, we would have maybe, so that's not on Fletcher. I think it's on the way that CCJ didn't
take the foul somehow in any way.
I was joking like 5 minutes before that because we were kind of frustrated with CCJ already. And I was like, CCJ should just get a red card for good measure. Like, and lo and behold, that would have been a great time to do
good red card to take.
He could just go out like Omar Damari, and just fucking all out. But
I mean, like, I don't know if you want to make this more structured, but like you want to talk about CCJ because I feel like
let's just
go back to the start.
Yeah. Let's go, or we can go vibes based. I don't know because
one jumping off point would be that Struber rolled out the same lineup 2 weeks in a row, after a game where the team didn't necessarily blow the hinges off. So You know, going. I felt like a general consensus, especially after the game, that people would like to see the 4-4-2 come back. But, I don't know. Struber didn't really give any specific motivations after the game like he sometimes does about whether he was like trying to match Columbus or, just do kind of a like a man for man sort of account for what the other team was doing. But it seems like, at least for now, and maybe this is a repeat theme from last episode, that he wants to generate offense through the wingbacks and creating overloads out wide. But we still don't have guys like Luquinhas and Fletcher in the team, so it's falling on Morgus and Morgus Morgan. I mean, that is what it is, but it's Morgan, and to a lesser extent Dylan Nealis, and then Tolkien on the other side to generate a lot of the offense. And it's not necessarily being that, or coming out to be that incisive in the final third a lot of the time. So
well, I think playing wide, or like relying a lot on our width for attack here, when Columbus have like fairly decent fullbacks, right? They've always played with like good fullbacks, maybe it's just not the best. But also, I think the way that we're set up, like Dylan Niels is just not being taking advantage, or like he's not taking advantage of the shape to the best of, I think, his skill set, or what have you, because there does seem to be an inability for him to get past his first man a lot. I know that might not necessarily be what he's been doing right now, playing a lot. Like I know he's winning a lot of tackles, he's getting a lot of interceptions, he's like doing a lot of breakup play, but when we're running so much of our attack up that width, and it's like one side seems to be frustratingly shut down in that kind of way, like honestly, maybe just switching to 4 in the back might help us out, just because we get that extra midfielder, and that might relieve pressure from him to be able to bolt forward.
Yeah, I suspect he must be struggling to like reawaken that attacking part of him, because I was thinking to that video that they posted where he talked about how growing up he was an attacking player basically until he got to college, and now that kind of is just his natural instinct, and I was like, we're really not seeing that so far. So maybe he needs, maybe over the international break he can take some time to maybe sort of embrace that kind of part of his game if it's somewhere in there, because I think it's just sort of the hesitation. But if you had said Morgus to me, if Haddad were here, I would have thought, oh, that's just another, like, I don't know, synth rock band from Manchester in the 80s. I'd be like, oh yeah, sure, fine.
But I think combination of that reliance on the wide areas, and then you gain from the 4-4-2 or 4-2-2-2. I hate that, but that Klimala is not alone up top like he is in this formation, where, I'm not going to say like he's useless or anything, but it's just not suiting him. And it's clear. I mean, it seemed like he and Struber were not on the same page at points during this game, and were kind of yelling at each other. And it seemed like Struber was calling for him to go out wide a bunch, which you saw a lot last year. Including when he and Fabio would both be on the pitch together. And that seems like something that would be so hammered on in training during the week, to not, have that connect during the game, that I don't know what's necessarily going on there. But especially if that's not happening to Struber's liking, I don't know why he persists in the one striker formation, both from the start and in this game, where when he decided to change up the look up top, he just straight up pulled Klimala and put Barlow on for him, instead of having a 2-striker formation get set up. So I don't know necessarily what's going on there, and I guess that'll be a theme that I will be watching in the next couple games after we come back from the international break, for sure.
Made it sound real spicy.
Yeah, I think that Columbus were playing enough. They're coming out of their shell enough where we could have and should have just maybe done 4 at the back from the beginning, because we would have had opportunities if we just had another forward up there instead of a wide player. But also they were still being conservative enough where Morgan did not have the kind of space that he feasted on against Toronto and San Jose either. And he was receiving the ball at a standstill a lot more often, or just had to hold up and wait for guys to arrive.
He was running ahead of play a lot.
Yeah. So that kind of that was kind of nullified anyway. I think that, I don't know if Struber just got personally annoyed with Kliamala or something. Was it his best game? Maybe not, but I think he got yanked way too early, 57th minute. Barlow, I think, did what he was asked to pretty decently, but without another striker up there with him, it was kind of in service of nothing. It would have been great to have somebody else up there to kind of link up with him. Because then it was another situation where Barlow wasn't really properly winning headers or holding the ball up, but sort of just creating chaos and these weird sort of 50-50 balls that Columbus had to spring onto, but there was nobody there to sweep up and try to do it. I mean, I guess Caceres was there sort of eventually, but that was its own adventure as well. I don't know, but yeah, I think that it would have been a lot better plan to go 4-4. I'm just going to say 4-4-2. I hate saying 2 so many times.
I call it 4-4-2.
4-4-2 from the outset, really, with the emphasis on the 2 up top.
Is Caceres just a forward this season? He might just be one.
I mean, this game more than anything, or more than any game previously, because we've seen him for a while, and especially in Struber's formation when he does this kind of 4-5-4-1 or whatever, where it's the 2 attacking midfielders under a single striker. Struber calls them dual 10s, but I don't know how it necessarily. I don't know that it necessarily looks like that on the field. And I think more than in any game previously, you saw Caceres almost running laterally or even ahead of Barlow sometimes on a lot of movements, and just basically playing as a second striker, where I just continue. The further and wider he gets put up the field, I just don't get it. For 3 years now, over 3 whatever different coaches. I just don't see how that's his game, and he still winds up getting some production here and there, as we know, just through being kind of a tenacious player or whatnot. But as far as just fluidity and just the entire formation over the course of 90 minutes or even, 20, 30 minutes like he was in this game, I just don't see it in those types of roles.
I imagine that when, when we're picturing our 2 10s, if we're doing 2 10s, it's going to be Morgan Luquinhas.
I would hope.
Right.
Well, that was the other annoying thing, is that I would have preferred Morgan to be on that part of the pitch and had another striker up there, because then it made it when CCJ was playing that sort of dual 10, it meant that Morgan was just kind of hanging out on the sideline. Just kind of standing
CCJ is also
still.
a lot, when he gets the ball, he's also a lot more conservative than a lot of these guys too. Or he doesn't play as quickly,
he's a deep midfielder.
Right. He'll cycle the ball back
when he gets called up to Venezuela. Is that where he plays?
Pretty much, yeah.
It's strange because on Sunday he had a uncanny ability to play quickly when the rest of the team did not want to, and then play slowly when the rest of the team wanted to play quick. It was, I mean, I think his first touch on the night was that he dropped back into midfield a bit and then took a touch and then tried to do this quick
scoop
it, where it again get a ton of spin, where it would go to Lewis down. I gotta pick whether I'm going to say Lewis or Morgan. It confuses me too much when I pick one. Yeah, especially with watching all the vroom vroom race cars. It's not helpful. So the goal was to send Morgan down the wing. Morgan wasn't looking for it because, 1, it was an insane ball idea in the first place. But 2, if it worked, he was marked. There was no space. And 3, it just went straight out of bounds.
It went practically into the suites.
Yeah. And I was just like, good Lord, what was that all around? Because it's frustrating because in a way, he's still sort of a classy player that he's he's a custom player that you make where you turn up the sliders on like the flashy like prestige little things and like turn down, like leave the other sliders down.
Yeah, because you have like a quota of points that you can give.
Yeah,
right.
so like you like turn up shot, turn up tackle, turn up like I don't know,
stamina.
Yeah,
and that player turns out to not fit any position.
And then you just play, and then you play the version where it's just like, you know, you follow the guy, a single player, and then you just play like hero ball the whole time, and you have no idea what's really going on. It's like that's like what it was like watching him on Sunday. It was crazy.
Because there was that play you mentioned that was like his first touch, and then like 5 minutes later there was that one play where he just like made a through ball to literally nobody.
Oh yeah, and like Barlow was running the opposite direction.
Exactly. Yeah.
Morgan seemed to be like, what the hell was that? Like, I don't know. Maybe I have seen somebody make that run this season, but it did not even look like a run that we'd been doing.
Yeah.
You know, it was strange. But it made Omier look great by comparison, I have to say. And Lucchinius too, when he came in.
Yeah.
Lucchinius, even this week, now that I got more time to look at him, is a small man. Which is very impressive, though, because he had one sequence in particular that was a good example of him really being tenacious and getting stuck in.
Yeah.
Omier, for his part, also had a really good sequence where he did that. So strong showing from the short kings this week, I have to say. And then Frankie, Frankie also continues to sort of be the player of the year so far. Drew's not as short as they are, but he also had a solid game, in my opinion.
Drew's on that. I feel like Drew just makes early season mistakes right now, and you know, by the time mid-season form hits and there's more chemistry with the rest of the team, he doesn't make those mistakes.
There's already been I think there's already been improvement though, where his mistakes have been pretty low stakes so far.
No, I think like you know, these are just things that the problems I see with Drew Yearwood are already resolving themselves.
I think it's a function of him and Frankie just working really well together, where they're both in situations, or if they make a foul or they screw something up, they're both covering each other pretty well.
That's true.
Frankie got a yellow for a dissent, which I support, because once again, the ref was driving us up the fucking wall.
We need to bring back proper refs in this country.
Oh yeah,
it's all these newbies.
What's this guy's name? Dickerson. That's not an MLS. Where's our Silvio Pachescu?
Apparently, I was just talking to some other people in the press area the other day that he was like one of the big dog refs in USL.
Oh, I don't like that.
And he's gotten called up to the show.
The big leagues.
Yeah,
he's doing the World Cup. This is the World Cup of USL refs.
Yeah, I mean he's made it. He's made it to the big time. But I mean, yeah, you had all those
but like
refs who retired last year.
Ismail Elfath, right? Like where's
no, I've never heard of any of these refs that we've had. Never heard of any of the refs that
Dickerson is not an MLS referee name.
Yeah, no, it's way too normal.
Even normal names, Alan Kelly, Irish, like ethnically white, right? You have Mark Geiger, who's like that's a very aggressively American name, so that's like almost ethnic in its own way.
Geiger does feel like it would, you know, the thing that makes the rounds of like that Japanese baseball video game that was like made in the 80s where they randomized the names. I didn't even realize till recently that there was like actually like a method behind that madness where they took some existing names and like
just switched letters around. Yeah, that's literally what I've felt that same way, except about Spanish names for Jair Marufo.
Right. Yeah.
For years and years.
Yeah. But Geiger feels like it would be on that screen, but like with a weird, like maybe make it CK, Mark CK Geiger. But
yeah, I mean this. I think it was like a little over like a 2-to-1 ratio as far as fouls called on the Red Bulls and fouls called on Columbus, which to some extent that comes with the turf of the way we play, and it's just kind of a historical thing. Like you go back to the Jesse Marsh quote about like, you know, I'm annoyed when we don't get yellow cards, or like that, you know, guys aren't accumulating yellow cards over time. Like, you know, that's just kind of part and parcel of the pressing style. But there was this game where it was like 2-to-1. And then when I was just doing a little research for OAM, apparently in the San Jose game on opening day, which we ended up doing fine in obviously, but that one was even more where like, it was like something like 30-5 or something as far as like
that must have been a game states thing though.
So, and like San Jose just like plays more possession or whatever. But yeah, just definitely, some refs who the fucking, I don't know. Of course I don't know his name, but the fourth official in this game was being really weird about like aggressively ignoring players when the ball would bounce towards him, as far as like helping
get the ball back
and stuff like that. And then I don't know what was going on. I will add that I ran into Howard Webb post or not post, just during
what
the
was
game.
This the Manchester United fan convention?
Yeah, there seemed to be just a lot, even besides him there, I saw a few like kind of PRO suits walking around, so maybe we were being used as some sort of like,
case study
test.
game.
Yeah,
well, I think Haddad was
something.
saying that there was some sort of conference. I assume there's probably a meeting or conference at the beginning of every season, but that maybe they had issued some new guidelines.
It's the giant Zoom meeting with Arsene Wenger every year.
Yeah, exactly. But it does seem like they've decided to basically call any aerial duel in the midfield much more strictly this year. The thing that frustrated me about this game is that, I expect us to kind of foul more often, but the frustrating thing is that it did not seem to be consistent as to when our players could expect to be called for a foul, and that mostly, if the further up we were on the pitch, the more likely that something was going to get called a foul. Whereas like there are a couple sequences in particular where we had a pretty decent but hard challenge get called a foul up the pitch, and then a minute later, the ball would be back in our own third, and we clatter the hell out of the guy, and nothing would get called. And it's like, well, look, I don't want you to call a foul back there, but like that looked like way more of a foul. It looks like the logic here is just like, no, don't have hard tackles up the pitch. That's annoying. I'm like, that's not a rule. That's not how it works.
Yeah. The thing I was noticing most often as far as ticky-tack fouls in this game was that Columbus was being really shitty about, on both sides of the ball, both diving and then getting under guys on aerial balls.
Yeah.
That was just handled.
A lot of guys were just getting cable tops.
That was handled terribly by this ref. That was my kind of sticking point in this game, was the weird unevenness of the calls, because Columbus was clearly gaming and trying to, shithouse on aerial plays. And especially, part of it was just that Mensah was kind of dominating Klimala on a lot of plays, and Mensah is just kind of a, pretty robust defender. But yeah, just a lot of plays where guys were just getting laid out and the ref was always calling it Columbus's way. It was just like, what the hell? Like,
you reminded me of, did you see this from your section? There was a good ball kid moment this game.
I don't think it was a ball kid though.
Or whatever.
Because there was a guy on their side, and it was
participant.
There was somebody who was wearing a vest, like,
like an event person.
Yeah, like an event person vest, and it had a lanyard of some sort, and was wearing a hat, and was some sort of game day staff. But like, it was unclear if it was Red Bull employee or if it was just like general MLS ops. But yeah, who like held onto the ball and like wouldn't give it to Columbus for a second, was yelling at it. But then when I was watching the game go on, like it wasn't a ball kid, because they still have like little stands there.
Yeah, there's no ball kids.
Yeah.
Well, that is the ball kid now.
Yeah, just this random like 30-year-old guy. But the Linos were giving us grief this match too. Like nothing super consequential, but it's just very aggravating. Like, a couple weird calls on whose throw it was, and then just like always harassing us about walking back 2 feet. It's like, fucking calm down. It's the 35th minute. It's like we're at midfield. Like it doesn't matter. Jesus Christ.
There were a couple of fouls too that I just watched, and I was like, he got to the ball first. It was clean. Maybe it was a little hard, but it was like, why was that called sometimes? And I don't know. It was very.
It's like, I will still forward on our usual dictum, our usual approach that it's you can't just fully blame it, but it's just a frustrating pattern so far in the 2 home games that I hope maybe it's going to just be us, the Red Bulls, over the next 2 weeks. Maybe we should just take some time to sit down and think about how are we going to go in on these challenges in the midfield where we won't get whistled every time. Maybe we work on it in camp a bit. Maybe we just kind of like talk about how we talk to the refs. Maybe Struber, someone actually like should call or do some sort of back channeling with PRO or something to be like, hey, what's the new rule? What's the new guideline? What's the new guidance here? Because it does seem like there's been some tightening up that is frustrating us more than other teams.
Maybe we as a fan base just need to work on bullying the refs better.
I mean, I think that's part of it, actually. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple times where they did call legitimate fouls, and I was like, yeah, maybe it was a foul. But it's like, no, we need to be on their case, though. We need to fucking yell at these guys. Just kind of like, and hopefully
Davis did a really good job of that, I thought, when he was here. Yeah. He would always just be the first person up there, even if it was fruitless.
But in like a measured way that wouldn't get him like carded or
exactly. Aaron Long is a little fiery as a guy, so I don't know if he's...
It's also sometimes, especially if we're getting whistled for a foul all the way at the other end of the pitch, Aaron Long's not there.
They run all the way up.
Yeah,
that's true.
For a small
Nealis was getting the most Sean Nealis, I should say. It's like, it is definitely kind of like a brotherly contrast thing where Sean Nealis was getting like real, like, you know, animated towards the ref, and where I was surprised he didn't get a yellow. Whereas Dylan Nealis got that yellow card at one point and was just silent, just like, yes, sir, kind of thing.
One of my pet peeves that I said during the match about Dylan Nealis as well, and you know, I'm trying not to beat up on the kid too much, but is that he will have his little gesticulations and like talk back at the ref, but like in not a weirdly reserved way. Well, he'll like throw his hand up and he'll be like, whatever, fine, in a way that like the ref will notice and resent, but you're not actually successfully yelling at him either. So it's like the worst of both worlds. I'm like, come on, dude, either fucking yell at him or don't do anything. Like, I don't know. It's kind of indicative of his play so far a little bit for me. But that said, I mean, moving maybe into like silver linings or half full territory, it is good that we still nicked a goal out of this anyway.
I was gonna say, like, Columbus scored an ugly goal. We also scored
it was a deserved goal on our part.
It was deserved, but it was
we were definitely putting pressure.
For a split second, I thought that I wasn't sure because it was so chaotic, but I thought there might have been some sort of weird offside thing because like Barlow might have been offside off the first thing, but I couldn't keep track of all the touches. Did it get counted as an own goal eventually?
Given to Barlow eventually yesterday.
Really? Okay, well, that's good. I wasn't sure, but I was worried that maybe they would review it.
I thought it was an own goal. I haven't watched the replay since Sunday night, but I thought it was an own goal at the time.
I think it depends.
Well, if like Barlow hit it last and it was on frame and someone hits it in, then it's
it was so close goal, right? That like it didn't even have to really be straight to be on frame.
Right. So, I mean, good for Tom Barlow, 2 goals in 4 games.
It reminds me of my favorite bit of bureaucracy is the dubious goals committee. I don't know if that's still a thing in the FA, but it used to be a thing at least a decade ago.
Well, the
dream job.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
The goal that we got was deserved, but it's like also funny that was the goal of all the chances that we had generated until then, I feel like, too.
Including last week, too.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And I think, you know, more generally, leaving the stadium, I was like, okay, yeah, that obviously was annoying, but I was sort of already thinking, like, as we're getting to the train, like, you know, maybe a draw was probably not the most unjust result there, all things, even though we literally just had 20 seconds more to go hold out. And
nice kick in the ass.
Right, yeah. I was thinking, like, maybe this would be a sort of wake-up call to the team. And I think, because, like, a loss, if we had lost that way, that would have been fucking, like, I would be worried about, like, spiraling, you know? And, like, the team getting discouraged. Maybe a draw, you know, indicates, like, it, like, achieves having, like, a slap on the wrist to the guys saying, hey, it's still a little bit of growth from last week where we didn't just totally bottle it. We had a good, dirty, tough game against a tough opponent. We let it lapse at the end. I think the players at the end of the game did look a little devastated and genuinely annoyed with themselves. Gives them the international break to kind of sort it out with themselves. Whereas maybe if we had won, it's like, everything's good. We're, you know, like, we're on the up and everything.
Complacent.
Yeah, get complacent. Maybe this can get us a little bit of like the reality check without the risk, you know, full on losing.
Especially be like kind of turned on when you're integrating the last bit of new players.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. It kind of sounds like we're coping here a little bit. Because
coping about what? We're in fourth place.
Well, I know, but just like last week, we're saying the same thing. Like, hey, I wish this was a wake up call. You know, honestly, this week wasn't the response I would want from like how we performed last last week.
It
But
was progress.
In terms of, it was progress. But like in terms of like, is this where I want the team to be for like us to win as many trophies as possible? No. Was it a deserved result? Do we improve? Yeah, but like, it's not like we're setting lights ablaze here. Like I think we're going at a steady rate. But,
that's exactly what I was saying.
But I don't think that's like that's not what I want to see personally. I think as a response, like steady growth. I want like a real bounce back and a real like dominant statement and going into a week like this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, obviously I would have preferred we'd win 4-0, but I think the point
I know, but it's the way you're saying it makes it sound like, maybe it's a good thing that we didn't win. And that's like how it sounds.
Well, I think that is literally what I mean. He's making a case that
I'm saying
that the team needed to get
which sounds like you shouldn't.
The given is that we played. Given how we played on Sunday, a draw might be better for like learning lessons and going forward than getting a sort of lucky win. Ideally, we would have won 4-0 and blown the doors off of them.
Okay, but even if like we won and the 1-0, that's going to be better going into the international break than the kind of like a deflating draw at the end.
Well, and he's literally making the case that it isn't. He's stating that winning a game means the team might become complacent, and
which is what I'm saying is like it. Like I think that argument.
We're not like
you don't think it's true.
Winning.
Well, not that it's not true, but I think that it's a little. I think it's lazy a little bit. To just kind of like put that out there, and that it like sounds like we're coping, and it's not like the type of energy that I want to like. If I'm a fan with expectations for my team.
So what do you want to say that it's a disaster now or something?
No, I won't say it's a disaster, but it's like
we're in fourth place.
Yeah, but like we're not in first place. I want to be in first place. Like that's all I'm saying.
Of course, and I think the way to get through first place,
and I'm saying that like we should feel a little more entitled to first place. I think as
the way that I think about it is that like think about the 1-0 win over City where Chris Armas was like, oh, it gets quiet when I get results, huh? Like I wouldn't want to win that. Like that was clearly at the time we all across the board panned that as being like a laughable idea of like a sustainable way of going forward,
and then that this is the ideal, and like,
right, and that like obviously like we're gonna just like have a Sean Johnson howler, every week, and like it went great. Like I think given the way that we played on Sunday, it is better to get a bit of a reality check and have Struber to say, look, guys, we didn't put it together. And also Struber himself as well, maybe first and foremost needs a bit of negative feedback for him to consider, oh, maybe I didn't set up the team right. Maybe the going for the width here wasn't actually the right move for 60 minutes.
This isn't coping after like weeks and weeks of bad results and the team falling out of a playoff race. It's just one game where the team kind of fell short and has to kind of deal with those feelings for like a week or two.
If we have this result for a month straight, like 3 months from now, sure, yeah, I'll be worried. But what I see from the players on Sunday is that nobody was really satisfied with this result. I think they know that they can do better. They have already proved to themselves they can do better. We've already reached a point where we've blown the doors off of 2 teams so far this year, something we only did once last year, period. I think that there's the potential for this to be like a learning opportunity, especially now that we have our captain going off to be maybe even the captain of the national team in clutch qualifiers this week. I think it's like we're lined up in a decent position here to come back stronger, and kind of draw good lessons from this. And I think it could, I'm not saying it definitely would happen. Nobody knows, it's counterfactual, but if we had gotten away with it on Sunday a bit, that, maybe we don't have a couple tough conversations that need to happen. It looks like maybe the team, guys on the team should have a word with Cáceres about.
No, I know what you're saying, but I still think it's like a losing mentality a little bit. And that, even the example you gave about like Chris Armas and the 1-0, like, I don't think any of the players really got complacent. Maybe Chris Armas did, but I don't think, I think the best point like here is that like maybe Gerhard Struber might reassess a few things about what's going on because of the result. But like, again, like when I was saying at the beginning of the broadcast, like, great teams get away with results that they don't deserve to win with. And, like we should be winning kind of games like this. And that, if we are like fashioning ourselves as a top contender trophy team and grading ourselves on kind of like the level of excellence I expected us to not in a transition year, then, I'm not like disappointed like or sad or like blowing over about it, but I'm not like going in. I think it like doesn't serve us well to say that, like if we won, it might have been complacent.
I think that makes more sense if you're like 6 months into the 2018 season, not when you're 4 matches into the 2022 season.
Yeah, but like I think maybe we're still like we're accepting a lot about this team, and I'm not ready because I think I'm still insecure.
Of that. This is saying that the team obviously has a higher ceiling that they can hit, and that taking a bruise here is a way for them to reinforce that they should keep pushing to hit that ceiling. It's not saying, I feel like the idea that we needed this win on Sunday no matter what aligns much more with the idea that like this is it. This is the best you can hope for. You need to squeak out these results if you play that well. And if you're not doing that, you're fucking up. Like, no, I don't buy into that. I buy into the fact that like that we're still warming up along with the other 26 or whatever teams in the league, and that this is, I think, going to be good fodder for us to have a lot of good tape, for Struber to have a lot of good tape, but to have a lot of good talking points and conversations among the players themselves, and then sit on it for 2 weeks. And I think if I think there's a lot of competitive guys in the squad right now that maybe will not like the taste of this draw in their mouth for 2 weeks and will want to come back and blow the doors off of whoever we're playing next. Who are we playing next?
New England.
Oh, so that's a good one.
New logo.
L'Evolution. New England Rangers.
Yeah.
They are using, I feel like the new logo that they have, they're using like the big white circle background on it, which I feel like they didn't intend for that whole thing to be used in all the circumstances. And it looks kind of ugly when it's used in full like that.
Like just the R by itself. I think they were
supposed that was the vision more.
But like I feel like it's like these things always pull the full like official crest, whatever it is.
Right.
In this case, instead of just like the word mark.
Yeah. Oh, so we're playing New England on April 2nd in New England, and New England will have had a week or two to lick their wounds after choking in Mexico City, which
and in Charlotte, even worse.
Vamos Puma. That's true, actually. Yeah. Pumas never in doubt. Gonna make it to CCL final, obviously.
That's right.
Who are in the semis?
Pumas and the team that beat Montreal. I don't know.
Cruz Azul.
Cruz Azul. Oh, fuck. It's a biggie.
And then got City, Seattle.
Yeah. So that would be a good test, though, especially away in Foxborough. And it'll be, actually, that's probably a good game for neutrals, too, because it's two teams who have a lot to prove. I think New England has plenty of reasons to get out there and try to prove that they weren't a fluke last year, and they're going to want to bounce back from these two frustrating results that they've had. And then, just like we were saying, we've got all this desire to kind of assert ourselves in the league, and especially considering that we lost 3 times to them, given our weird compressed schedule last year. I would hope that we have a lot of bulletin board material to go out there and prove that we can make a result up there, and I think it would be huge for us.
But surely we have a lot of tape on Omar Gonzalez.
Is he still playing for them? Did he not move on? No, I guess he is there.
No, he's
there now.
He's one of their reinforcements with Jose.
Well, it's like he got all the whole squad's back together in New England this season.
Yeah, I mean they're dealing with, I think, some injuries as well on top of the CCL fatigue.
They should get Graham Zusi and like Brad Davis onto that New England team.
That is next. Bring Pat Noonan out of retirement from coaching Cincinnati. But yeah, I'm just like pulling up New England's like last result now because they
haven't started that hot, have they?
They're 1-2.
Yeah.
Which,
but when they were in Charlotte, they were like kind of half strength.
To my point, I think like if you're a championship team, you got to be winning week in, week out. You can't accept any drop points at all.
Right.
I'm actually kind of serious about that.
But like also they were doing the CCL dance back and forth, you know. So like we lost to Salt Lake and San Jose when we were playing in the CCL semifinals. So we've been there before.
Yeah, and did we win the Shield that year? Yes. Okay, but my point stands. Okay.
Yeah. But no, they. It looks like. Well, I mean, they've had Turner out all year with that frostbite
Arsenal injury.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has that transfer?
Oh yeah, that was never official, was it? Because and then you got frostbite.
I saw that when I googled it said ankle injury, but then when you read the full quote, it says ankle, foot injury. And I'm like, all right, could still be frostbite. So no one said it wasn't, but yeah, they he hasn't been playing for them. I guess Altidore has been making sub appearances, but
and I think he started in Charlotte, but didn't do much. Like
for a split second, I thought that Kamar had signed up for them because Minnesota traded the rights to a guy who was on New England too
to get.
But then I realized it's a guy they drafted but didn't sign, and then New England gave him a USL contract. So basically, it's really just the rights to someone Minnesota never intends to sign. So it's like the newest level of salary dump that I've seen. It's really advanced salary dumping for MLS. This is almost NBA level stuff. But damn.
Wait, so where's Kamar now? Is he at Minnesota?
He's in Minnesota now.
That sounds miserable for him.
It's further away from New Jersey than Toronto is, right? I have to assume. So that's going to be a weird mix for him. Kind of that whole situation kind of makes me sad. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's hard to talk too much about New England beyond what we have had, what we've talked about, given that it's 11 days away. In the interim, I guess there's national team stuff, to which I will just reinforce what we said when Mike was on here a month or so ago.
Just get it done.
Just get it fucking done. just God, please win, get it over with. And then I realize now that it won't stop. It won't stop once they get in, but it won't get worse. Just please, I want to go to the World Cup and play a round of 16 match a normal country.
I want to eat a burger in Doha, Qatar. Watching my boys.
Gonna get a cool 4 points in the group. Gonna play, I don't know, like Paraguay in the round of 16. Maybe make it to extra time. Maybe we get another round in. Who fucking knows? But we're gonna be a normal fucking country going to a normal fucking tournament. I mean, it'll be in Qatar. That'll be fucked up.
Also, more teams, right? This time, so it's not.
Isn't even normal. That's not yet, right? Isn't that one more?
I think that's next time.
Well, they added more for Russia, I think. Anyway, right?
Yeah, that might be true. But please, just please, I want them to qualify. If they don't qualify, it's gonna get so fucking bad. It's gonna get so annoying.
The thing is, if it feels like it was kind of the same way even in 2017, that like we're well past the time when the U.S. missing a World Cup is like a death sentence for soccer in America and means like.
Well, I was just about to joke. What if we miss it 2 times in a row?
Well, I mean, I guess that'll be a test, but I think especially now.
Maybe we should actually.
Even more than 2017. It's like soccer's not going to go away if the national team doesn't make it.
We're doing revolutionary defeatism
if we miss the World Cup, we won't get more Charlotte FCs.
All right, actually,
let me put it that way.
Yeah, guys.
Canceling Las Vegas. What?
Yeah, return
to tradition.
Return to Monk.
Monkey. Oh yeah. God, but yeah, I hope they fucking get it done and they don't do any of the weight training machines or any of that shit. And that Aaron Long is wrapped in bubble wrap the whole time because it's confirmed he's going with them. Has Greg said who the captain is or anything?
I mean, Long is definitely one of the older guys, and Greg has been naming like, Tyler Adams and like Pulisic as captain sometimes. So,
yeah, might as well.
He theoretically would be high up on
Speaks
that pecking order.
Spanish too.
That too, yeah. I mean, but I guess even more to our end of kind of grinding the gears of the internet discourse that if Aaron Long is captain for like these qualifiers, let alone being in the squad.
Oh yeah, fuck that. We better fucking win. I can't. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God. Yeah, I hope we win 4-0 both matches and just get it fucking over with. And Aaron Long scores all the goals.
Yeah.
Has a bunch of goal line
clearances. Does the bowl celebration when he scores them, even for the national team.
Yeah, exactly. And then
maybe that becomes his celebration.
Like, I mean, it kind of is, yeah.
And then everyone like around the world will start doing it when he scores in the World Cup final. Yeah.
I do like. I still think every once in a while with his response when somebody asked him like, "Oh, like what? Like what's with the celebration?" He's like, "We're the Bulls. We're the Red Bulls. We're the Red Bulls." That's right. The Red Bull. Anything else?
Am I going to New England? I don't remember if the bus tickets are sold out or not. I might.
It's a free bus, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a free bus.
I'm not going to go. I can't justify it.
I'll be there.
Let's go fuck shit up on the road. That's what we're good at this year.
Oh.
You know?
I just thought you meant like a literal roads.
I think you meant I would go steal a pope.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I would hope New England being just kind of like a conventional, generic, tactical setup would encourage Struber to, go back to the 4-4-2. I'm not going to pretend like I know how to, read his mind on how he approaches, different.
I mean, surely Bruce is lining up in the 4-4-2,
right?
So like he could just line up in the 4-4-2 too.
Yeah, I am. Well, I don't know. We'll see how Struber calculates the pressing distances, but I guess what I'm looking for is 2 strikers any way possible. Hopefully Fletcher is fit. Maybe we see a Luquinhas start. Just generally mix things up in the final third, because obviously on the homestand it wasn't really clicking. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I think Bruce likes to play 2 strikers often, right? I mean, between Buxa and Hill.
Yeah,
those are 3 pretty forward-thinking guys. So we should have the space to just do 4-4-2 and not have to bother with this width. Also, it's a more narrow pitch up there too, anyway, right?
Yeah, kind of.
On turf.
I think especially Josie is a guy who kind of likes to dribble and carry, sometimes more high up the field, which is something that we can pounce on, hopefully, a few times, and create some of the chances that Toronto, say, was coughing up a couple weeks ago. So
if we do 4-4-2, do you think Nealis is the right back or Edwards?
I would like to see Edwards with Long and Nealis and Sean Nealis as the center backs as a back line at some point, because Edwards wasn't in the team, or he was a sub for Long and as a center back in Toronto. So we still haven't seen how that kind of unit looks. And I would like to think that, at least if we're doing a 4-man back line, would be the eventual first choice there.
See, I was going to say, in a funny way, I feel like I would rather have, Tom Edwards as right back. And like, if I was making that decision, but I feel like Dylan Nealis will more likely end up playing that right back role in this New England game.
I mean, I'd like to see it, if nothing else, because I'd like to see Edwards play right back, because if nothing else, last year it's been so long since he's played just a traditional right back in a 4-man back line, because he didn't do it that much at all last year. Then last year was so weird in all these different ways, or I feel like the little bits that he did were either at the beginning of the season when the team was still super in flux, or after he'd been playing right center back or center back for like months, when he probably had that more in his habit and his mind. It'd be interesting to see him take a full preseason after being a couple weeks at Stoke, and then just kind of take a more straight out wide role and see how it looks. I don't know. Anything else?
I think I'd like to kind of have like a reverse of this week, but as a win on the road. That'd be nice. Like a 2-1 late score win away.
By reverse of this week, do you mean like an ugly game that we got out?
Yeah. And then like we score the late goal, but we win instead of draw.
Sure.
Yeah.
Got it. I do feel like New England away, granted in Cambridge, not at Foxborough, is the last time we got a last minute winner. in the stoppage time, right? Or maybe we got one in Foxborough too. I know Verone scored.
We only won like 2 games in Foxborough total, right? So
I don't know. I don't know any RBNY history. I hate RBNY history. I am intentionally disrespecting RBNY history and refuse to learn anything. And I will never have snark. Do you guys want to do a prediction? I honestly forgot. If you don't feel like it, you don't. I
just gave mine.
Yeah. So. I feel like Court kind of gave the usual spiel, which is what do you want to see? Sam, do you have anything you want to see?
Just win on the road, keep it up. I don't fucking know. 2 strikers though would be nice. Give Klimala something to work with, honestly, and let Morgan push up the field more. It's just easy enough, right?
Klimala needs a goal as usual for yet another week, so we'll see on there.
Let's go 2-0 clean. Fuck them up in Gillette.
Yeah, I feel kind of good about the game too in that kind of way. I have a kind of good vibes about how it's going to turn out, and that I think New England is kind of in their feelings right now and won't really come up for it. So
I feel like New England's additions this year were subtractive for their team.
Yeah, kind of.
You know?
I've got I just got a premonition a bit of Lewis Morgan doing well up there, and I think it might just be an optical illusion due to like the NFL-ness of the stadium and maybe the lines. But I feel like when we play at Foxborough, or games in Foxborough in general, even when we're not playing, seem to have a lot of moments where there's just like weird transitional periods and the ball was up the pitch and like the goalkeeper's out a little bit or the defenders, and just like everyone's sense of scale and vision is a little bit off. And based on what we've seen so far, I feel like Morgan feasts on that kind of thing. Or maybe
that's interesting. Yeah,
there will be a couple moments where he's just like, "Oh, would you look at that? There's just a bunch of empty space in front of me and the goal. And granted, I'm 35 yards out, but if I just kick it straight, it'll go in." And it's like, well, fuck. Why don't we think about that all the time?
Yeah, I think that's a combination of Foxborough being like an NFL stadium and having the worst turf.
It might actually just be an optical illusion from the TV perspective. I don't know. I don't know if it doesn't look like that in person, but we'll see.
The ball does bounce weirdly there because it's like well regarded, right? As like the worst turf in even NFL stadiums.
Yeah, but Lewis Morgan grew up playing on the weirdest turf in all of Paisley. So
that's true.
He grew up playing in cobblestone streets.
And in Yoker.
Every ball bounced weirdly there.
Yeah. Exactly. In Scotland there isn't a single ball that bounces straight. Every year the English go up there and they confiscate every bouncing ball down. But all right, see you in 2 weeks, I guess. Till then.
¿Sabes?